Hello and welcome to HMG Spotlight. I'm Hunter Muller, founder and CEO of HMG Strategy. I'm here with Vic Bhagat. Vic, we're recognizing you here today as a 2023 HMG Global Leadership Institute Lifetime Achievement Award recipient. Congratulations.
Thank you, Hunter. Extremely humbled, knowing what HMG Group has achieved over the past decades of serving the IT industry and specifically IT leaders, global leaders. I'm extremely humbled, and thank you so much. It's a pleasure connecting with you and sharing and having a good sparring session with you as always.
Thank you, Vic. We're studying visionary leadership here at HMG Strategy. Visionary leaders matter more than ever in a time of innovation, a time of disruption. What are your thoughts on visionary leadership?
I couldn't agree with you more, right? Back in the days, right, when all of this digital transformation started, CEOs were looking for that leadership, were looking for that visionary impact, to their enterprises, to their businesses, right? And the expectations were extremely high from IT leaders, right? Especially with people that are chief information officer. They had to change their role to become chief innovation officer or chief, intelligence officers, right? So in order to really deliver the outcome for the businesses, you had to create that vision and execute the strategy that delivered the outcome for the business versus outcome for IT. And I know you've been kind of driving that. You've been the gospel of that to all of us IT leaders over the past few decades, right? And I think that's the significant impact that IT leaders have to embrace and clearly identify what is that North Star that we're going to go after. And now, specifically in today's world, how AI and machine learning is really changing and challenging our IT fabric.
When you think about AI and where we are with this innovation cycle, how can a CIO be more effective with the CEO, the C-suite, and the line of business?
What a great question, Hunter. And again, such an enormous opportunity for CIOs to really step up. When you look to embracing the outcomes of AI, we have to recognize that AI is more than analytics or data intelligence. We have to drive decisioning. How do we reduce the cycle time of what our enterprise does by driving redundant decisions or bureaucratic decisions and automating those decisions, right? Those days of having knocks and socks, where we're just observing for failure and then reacting to those are the things that we ought to be looking at and saying, how do we really automate the cycle time of our customer experience or cycle time of our inquiry to order and order to remittance cycle, the end-to-end cycle, right? That's the key that CIOs have to start addressing and leveraging these new capabilities and new tools on how to shorten that cycle time and driving the outcome that the business deserves and actually wants. So back to your question, as CIOs, we have to figure out how do we embrace the thought leaders and the solution providers that are out there that are helping us with the decisioning engine.
You think about, again, the challenging time that we have right now, more than ever, to reimagine, reinvent that customer journey, invent new business models, new go-to-markets. What are some of the companies that are out there that you think are really executing across that digital agenda that come to mind that inspire you?
There are tons of companies that are now truly embracing this. Early adopter, of course, was Capital One, where they truly embraced app modernization and the proliferation of native cloud, right? They started doing that. Now what you're saying is a lot of these enterprises are putting their focus and their entire the ability to get customer stickiness by raising the experience that the customers enjoy doing business with them, right? How do we simplify our ability to connect with our customers, right? So when you look at the consumer businesses, like, specifically, I could talk about what FedEx and companies such as FedEx are doing, where they're giving all of this information, real-time information, in your hands as a consumer, right? So you don't have to pick up a phone and call and try to track things down. And you are seeing the proliferation of that happening in many, many, many enterprises. Even the, I would call stodgy enterprises that are into manufacturing are looking at it and saying, how do we raise that customer experience? How do we simplify? How do we make it easy for customers to do business with us? And that's the power of what technology can enable and all the solutions that are available in today's world.
Interesting times. Vic, you've had an amazing career. What kind of career advice would you give people, and what are the lessons in leadership that you'd like to share with them?
Yeah, Hunter, I've shared this with you, many a times, where, having gone through information technology and key leadership positions, as an IT professional, we always look at it and say, the more complex our environment, the bigger our budget, the more people we have managing, that is what sets me up for my next job, right? So every time I got a call, people will try to sell me on a job and say, oh, Vic, it's $1 billion budget, it's highly complex, they have multiple data centers across the world. And I think that is the old way of thinking. I think today's leaders, specifically in technology, have to start thinking about how do we drive and enable lean processes? How do we really drive a core versus chore, right? We can find our partners to do our chore, right? Because chore is where our cost of goods sold is. That's what our expense lies. Core is what drives our revenue. Core is what enables us to better treat our customers. So as technology leaders, we need to focus on those core activities of our business. We can't have our partners tell us how to make our widgets better. There should be nobody that knows how to make our widgets other than us. But the chore activity, that's a commodity activity, we can find somebody else's core competency to do that for us. And we need to be fearless to embrace that, because that is what's going to accelerate our transformation. Because as you know, transformation, requires courage, because it's going to force you to break things, force you to think differently, not the same old things that you have always been comfortable with, right? It is about eliminating complexity out of what we do, so we actually make our business lean and make it easy to do business with our constituents.
Leading courageously, leading fearlessly, leading with reimagining the vision of the company is key. You've often said that no one will run as fast as you will, you being yourself as the individual leader. Talk to us about what you really mean there.
Yeah, so we are our worst critics, and we tend to impede our own speed, right? And what we need to do is we need to make sure we are smart. We are surrounding ourselves with people that are smarter than us. If we're trying to be the smartest person in the room, you're already impeding your progress. So you need to be fearless about surrounding yourself with people that are smarter than you. You need to be fearless. You need to have that reckoning of having a sparring session, people that can question your decisions, your judgments, and you need to have that ability to embrace different ideas. How do you really embrace the startup world? We have this feverish Silicon Valley startup modality that's happening all across the globe now, right? India is now becoming one of the fastest startup. Israel was known as the startup country, right? The startup nation, sorry, right? How do we really embrace that out-of-the-box thinking, rather than being held prisoner in the traditional way of doing things with large companies or large contracts? So that's what I mean about being fearless, being, the ability to reimagine the solution and aligning it with the outcome that the company, that our enterprise deserves, right? What is it that our CEO is really looking for, and tying our outcome to delivering that growth factor to our enterprise and to our leaders, right? That's how you become a change agent. Otherwise, you are very internally focused and you're driving things that are, self-grandizing, right? And that impedes your ability, that impedes your velocity of how you can move fast.
Excellent insights, Vic. Talk to us a little bit more about that outside-in point of view, spending time outside your organization, in industry, with other companies, other peers, networking, collaborating on a global level. Why is that so important as we try to think differently, think innovatively, and lead courageously in reinventing the enterprise?
Again, it may sound a little out of, kind of place here but I'm going to use you as an example, right? And where, Hunter, you have been, kind of masterful of how you bring technology thought leaders together. And our job as leaders is to build and strengthen that network, right? Because this is where we learn from each other, right? As I have, previously said, if we put these boundary walls around us and we stop learning, we're not going to move fast. And we are actually going to stop our own advancement and our displeasure with what we are doing for our company, and we start looking outside for a different job. Because if that's the mode we get stuck in, we are just trying to protect our own knowledge, right? And what I say is, yes, knowledge is power, but knowledge is twice as powerful if shared. So back to your question, embracing our ability to network and having these thought leaders of how people are doing things differently in the same industry or different industry, and how I can glean off of that and accelerate my own journey. And sometimes I feel like I have to be shameless about it, right? And how you and I have worked together over the years, right? In sharing those best practices. How do we bring that upon our own group? How do we create that network and expand that network? Because the worst thing a person can say is, no, I don't want to share. But the best thing that can happen is when they share an idea and you get the aha moment and say, oh my God, I didn't even think about it. Oh, I didn't even think about using that startup to really help me accelerate my journey. So that's the power of what you have helped us create with that sharing of those best practices in the thought leadership and having those sparring sessions that we do.
Excellent stuff. Thank you for that, Vic. Really appreciate it. Hey, when you think back on your career, what are you proudest about, and what kind of memories do you have about building other great leaders into CIOs?
Yeah, I think that's probably what, I am so humbled when I see, the people that I've worked with that have such successful careers. When you look at other companies where they have stepped into very, very strong and big leadership roles, right? At the end of the day, the best asset you have is your people, right? Anything can be done, but if you don't have the right talent in place, you don't have the right intellectual capital in place, your ability to reimagine, your ability to be, as we talked about, being fearless and being focused wanes, right? So you have to make sure that you always surround yourself with people that have the level of energy and enthusiasm and the focus that you have. But you don't need to just protect them all the time. You just don't need to keep them with you. And one of the things that I've learned is that you never travel with your own contingent or your own troop. And many people have this tendency of, when they switch jobs, they take their own people with them from job to job. Because then what you're doing is you're just rinsing and repeating. So unfortunately, if you have some bad habits, then you're rinsing and repeating the bad habits. So you need to be fearless about creating tomorrow's leaders. Right? Embrace that change, embrace the challenge, right? And set up that leadership track and help people be successful in different climates, different zones, different areas, different industries. And I think that's kind of where I feel really terrific about is the friendships that I have developed. I don't consider the people that are working for me, but we have been peers. We have worked together, and many of them have successfully launched their careers into large enterprises, and that gives me, immense amount of pleasure.
Vic, again, great to see you. Congratulations on being a 2023 HMG Strategy Global Leadership Institute Lifetime Achievement recipient. Again, congratulations.
Thank you, my friend. I'm truly humbled by this recognition. I thank you very much. I thank you first and foremost for your friendship over the years.